Three, Chelsea and Samaritans have teamed up to launch a new campaign to tackle mental health. The Talk More Than Football campaign encourages football fans up and down the country to prioritise conversations around well-being. In his latest role, football hard man Vinnie Jones delivers a heartfelt team talk to the likes of Cole Palmer, Nicholas Jackson and Robert Sanchez. And joining us now to tell us more about that is the man himself, Vinnie Jones. Vinnie, good afternoon to you.
Morning, fellas.
How are you? Are you good? Are you well?
Good.
Yeah, good. Bit early for me out here. Thanks very much.
Oh, I can only apologise. It's nothing to do with me. The last thing I want to do is upset you. So I can only. I'll send you the name of my producer. Oh, if you're watching on YouTube, he's gurning at me now. It's not good. Listen, we'll talk football in a moment, Vinny, if that's okay. But First things first, tell us a bit about how you teamed up with Three, Chelsea and the Samaritans for the Talk More Than Football campaign. What is the campaign all about?
Well, obviously they came to me with the campaign, and look, it's something else that we have to tackle. You know, we've been tackling racism for a long time. I mean, I started tackling racism when I went to Leeds. Really, you know, my first ever article there was in the programme was, you know, we won't stand for it. You know, I won't stand for it as a player. You know, one of my best friends in the world was, you know, John Fashanu at the time was my room partner, you know, and I'd stand up and I'd take some flack for him. And this is something else we've got to tackle, you know, for these young guys. They need to talk. I mean, hasn't done Cole Palmer too bad. He scored about 5 or 6 goals since I had a little chat with him in the dressing room, so it's worked for him. Mm-hmm. But it's important we get this message out there, you know. There are messages we want. And this is another message. We need the young lads to talk to each other. We had a little bit of it at Wimbledon. There was some of that crept in there in the later years when I was there. And, you know, we dealt with it and put our arms around certain players that needed it. But, you know, the clubs have to see that, you know. I mean, when you look at, you know, I'm a long way away and I watch the football with Charles and people like that. You can sort of see they've got, you know, are they carrying something on their shoulders? You know, Rashford, you know, for the last few months, you know, surely the clubs can see that. So I think internally, you know, the clubs need to, you know, be aware of it, you know, chat to these young lads especially. And look, it's also for the fans, you know, the young sports women and men all up and down the country that come to football and watch football. Yes, they talk about football all the time, but in between it, can we talk about, are you okay? Everything fine? So it's as much for the fans as it is for the players.
Yeah, Vinny, according to research conducted by the Talk More Than Football campaign, 2/3 of football fans in the UK have struggled with their mental health and only 6% have actually done something about it. How important is it that more football fans open up about their mental health?
Well, of course, it's a massive problem, and that, you know, them statistics will prove that. So, you know, we want our fans to come and enjoy the games and, you know, and enjoy their lives. You know, you know, I've lost 2 or 3 friends where I've been with them the night before and they've done something tragic that evening. And you just can't figure it out. If we can talk to these young men and women up and down the country and get them to talk to their friends and families, you know, I think they'll talk to their friends more than they will to families, funny enough. You know, it's definitely something we have to deal with.
Vinny, let me ask you, when I was a kid growing up watching you play football, you obviously had this hard man image, right? And it would have been seen as a sign of weakness, someone like yourself talking to a teammate about your mental health problems. Now I see it as a sign of strength if you can open up and tell people you're not right, or you're not feeling well, or you need some help. Why do you think that back then in your day, I don't know if it was the case for you in that dressing room, but why do you think back then it was seen as a sign of weakness?
Well, I mean, if you mentioned anything like that, mental health or anything back in the, you know, 90s, you'd have been put in a white jacket and thrown in the van. You know what I mean? They'd have taken you away. You know, I don't think it was the right thing to do back in that time. You know, I mean, you look at, you know, look at Justin Fashanu. We lost Justin Fashanu. You know, he was a gay man. I mean, that wouldn't happen now, hopefully, because we've addressed it and we've hit it head on, and that's what we're trying to do with this now. We've lost young men and women up and down the country, and we do every day. So I think back in the day, it was a bit, it probably was something that we were kind of scared of. You know, you wouldn't want to be saying that because people, would think it was kind of a chink in your armour. maybe they thought you're nuts, you know, and want to put you in Broadmoor or somewhere. So I think you bottled it up. You know, look, Tyson Fury's come out and said he's had all sorts of troubles. He's come back. He's world champion.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, I'm sure I had a lot of problems, you know, growing up, you know, and clubs didn't realise it. The media didn't realise it. You know, the media can jump on stuff and hammer people and not realise there's another side to this. I think that, you know, that although we've got a side to play in it, the media have, the clubs have, we've all got to do this together.
Yeah, I think when I was playing as well, I would be scared to go to my manager or coaching staff to say, look, I'm mentally struggling. And there was times where I was really struggling in my playing career, Vinny.
Yeah.
But just want to talk onto the football.
Can I say before we move on, I think it's great people like yourself, Vinny, and Jermaine are openly talking about it, because you guys are role models and kids do look up to you and they copy everything you do, from the boots you wear to spitting on the pitch and putting their hand over their mouth to talking to their mates, even though there's no cameras. So I think it's great that people like you, Vinny, and Jermaine as well, you come out and talk about it, and hopefully kids will see it is a sign of strength.
Like, go to speak to your coach and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's so important.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to move on to the football, Vin. Obviously, there's two massive games in the Champions League tonight. Arsenal take on Bayern Munich and Man City travel to Real Madrid. Both games are live on talkSPORT Network from 8 p.m. How do you see these both games going?
Well, I just always wanted to come back, back to England. So I don't even really look at the other teams. When I played, I didn't even bother about the other teams. It's how good you are on the night, and it's about you. And I think the way Arsenal are playing right now, I hate to say it as a young Tottenham supporter growing up, that I actually enjoy watching Arsenal now. I mean, the midfield of Arsenal, I think, is as good as any. I think I heard you talking about Bellingham earlier on. What a fantastic player he's turned out to be. I mean, where did he come from? I mean, absolutely magnificent. And Man City, of course, are a powerhouse, you know. But hopefully that, you know, it can come back to England. You know.
Vinny, let me ask you. I didn't know you were a Spurs fan as a kid. Do you want Bayern Munich to win the tie?
What, because of Harry?
Pardon, say again.
Because of Harry? No.
But I mean, I want all English, unless it's my team, I want all English clubs to fail. I just don't want them being stronger and getting more money. Do you, as a proud Englishman, do you want the English clubs to do well, or do you want anyone but your team to do well?
I want the English clubs to do well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
So you'll be cheering Arsenal. You'll be cheering Arsenal.
Look, there's going to be some. I did something with Johnny Lee Miller once, a TV show out in America, and I had to be an Arsenal fan, and it killed me. And then I done another movie, and I was a Man United fan. I said to him, "Can't I be a Tottenham fan?" They went, "No, it's already written in." So apparently the director was a Man United fan. So there was a movie called Euro Trip that I did, so he insisted that I was a Man United hooligan.
He had it in for you. Listen, let's stay with your acting career, because you've just finished a brilliant series on Netflix, The Gentleman. All the boys in the office loved it.
I loved it.
I'm not just saying it because I didn't know you were coming, and we've spoken about it many times before. It was great fun to watch. It must have been brilliant fun to make as well. Are there plans for another series of it?
Well, obviously, we're all hoping that the papers are speculating again and saying, it's going to happen. But I spoke to Guy, a few days ago, and I know there's nothing concrete. It's up to Guy and the writers and the actors to get together with Netflix. That's pretty good numbers. 45 million people have watched it in a couple of weeks, which is, just astounding. But it's a great time. It's completely come full circle. Especially. I knew about it about a year before Guy texted me. I got a text out the blue from Guy saying, "Where are you?" And I was down in Sussex at the time. He said, "I've got something for you." So I'm looking through, what's he doing? Of course, it was about a year later. It's typical Guy. He sort of brought me into it slowly. I can grow in series 2 if it happens, like I did in Snatch. I watched Snatch. Guy was in England and I was in America, and I went to watch the first ever showing of Snatch around someone's house, and I phoned him up and I said, "I'm hardly in it." He said, "No, but you will. You'll come across really strong." He said, "You'll win some awards and all the rest of it." I couldn't believe it, but then that did happen. So it's gone full circle, really, boys, for me. I've worked hard. I've done a lot of movies, been all over the world with it. And to come back to Guy and to get this much success again, it's just phenomenal,
it's
really.
It's great. Were you on set? If people,
it's amazing how many people remembered my phone number.
They've got it. They've got it. It's on speed dial, Vinny. We know that. And if I don't want to spoil it for people, and this won't spoil it, but the chicken scene in The Gentleman.
Oh, brilliant!
It was brilliant. It really made me laugh and smile, of course, until you know what happens at the end of it. Were you on set for that?
Yeah. Well, the first scene, the first day was the reading of the will, and Daniel goes into one. And I'm stood at the back with the dog, and they say, Jeff, you get the cottage, for your lifetime service and all that. And I stood there and watched Daniel Ings, go absolutely nuts because he gets rode out of the will and everything else. And then we do, and then he does the chicken and gets dressed up as the chicken, which was later on. But I just think this guy's going to be phenomenal. And I went, we're on to something here. This is a bit of the old guy that I know. And I said, and I was like, this is going to be bloody good again. Here we go. And then, next thing I get a text from Ray Winston's in it. Then Max Beasley, all my boys. And I'm like, yes, we're on it. Here we go. And it was magnificent. I mean, the first scene, Guy came up to me and I hadn't seen him in the morning and everyone was stood round and he come up and gave me a cuddle and we were both very emotional. Right, let's go. And we got on with it. And it's just magnificent to be back.
It was great. Well,
back in the team, it was
usually when these things
being re-signed.
When these things make a lot of money and they're very successful, there's always a second series. So I've no doubt that will happen. I hope it does. Before we let you go, I know you're a busy boy, but I couldn't let you go before I ask you about your former manager Joe Kinnear, who sadly passed away over the weekend. You, of course, were his captain at Wimbledon. What are your memories? Very sad news. What are your memories of him?
The memories I want to keep with him, Walthamstow dogs every Saturday night. We had dogs together, me and Joe. We had a very unique relationship as manager captain. I think the previous years was Wally Downs, Dave Bassett, which was the success behind Wimbledon. And we're talking about mental health. I would go to Joe and I'd say, so-and-so's got a problem, Joe. We need to put our arm around him. He would come to me and I would be his captain. He'd come to me in that dressing room. He wanted to know. He would come to me on a Friday night. We'd be playing Liverpool away. He'd go, right, I've told the assistant manager, the owner and everybody, this is the team, but we ain't going with that team. We're going with this team. And, me and him were very, very close, holidays together. And I think that was a success we had at the time. We were flying at Wimbledon under Joe. We had some great times. He loved his racing. On my Instagram post there, I did say, I hope he finds a nice racetrack. Mm-hmm. He was a great lad. We had a great story. We were playing Arsenal. It was on Sky, funny enough. And I went round Joe's house, and it was last week of the season. I had a little bit of an hamstring, and the racing was on. And I said, well, I won't play tonight. I'll come round. We'll watch the racing round your house, Joe, and have a few Budweisers. It was a lovely evening in May. So we've had a right gargle. We've had a few Budweiser and a few cigars at the time in the garden. I drive. We drive to the game. We got a driver. We drive to the game,
But was it Bud Light? Was it Bud Light you were drinking? Yeah.
No, I always had a driver when I was drinking in them days.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then. So we walk out and somebody comes up and they go, the Wales manager's here in the stand. He's come to watch you. And I was pretty glass-eyed at the time. And Joe went, well, you better play. I went, what do you mean? I ain't even got any boots. So anyway, I borrowed one of the lads' boots and it was Mike Smith, the Wales manager. And so I go in, get the boots, put the boots on, go out. David Seaman, all the boys that play at Ross. So I smashed a volley in from about 25 yards, live on Sky.
Wow.
Straight past Seaman. We win 1-0. I go in I get picked to play for Wales. But the funny, Joe was laughing, and you'll see on Sky, he's laughing his head off. He's glassy-eyed as well. And obviously then the lads knew as well. We walked in the dressing room, and the lads nearly threw us both out of the dressing room. Of the beer. But, we had a good time in them days. It was it was a fantastic time under Joe, and he was like an older brother to me. He was like a best mate. And I don't know whether managers and captains have that relationship anymore. We'd go racing, we go sand down. We got into a couple of scrapes on a Wednesday. You know, I remember him and John Hartson and Joe with our backs up against the wall with our fists out like that, and we'd upset about 8 geezers in the pub. I mean, them sort of stories. Can you imagine Guardiola doing that with Haaland? No, I don't know.
I can't.
I don't know.
Vinny, listen.
But Joe was one of the boys.
Wonderful.
We had, a fantastic relationship. And I think that was what Wimbledon was all about.
Yeah.
You know, and Joe will find a racetrack up in the skies, and we'll have another go at it another time.
I'm sure. Vinny, listen, you've been absolutely wonderful. Some brilliant memories as well. When you're next in London, will you give us a shout? We would be honoured to get you in the studio. We really would.
I don't know. I don't like driving into London, mate. I'll stay out of the country. You come down to me.
You just told us you got a chauffeur. Get in.
You lot keep asking me to come in. Brazil keeps asking me. Ray keeps asking me. It takes me 2 hours to get in from Sussex. I like this little zoomy.
Okay, fine.
Stuff.
All right. We'll send a talkSPORT helicopter. Listen, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. You look really well, Vin. Thanks for coming on, pal.
What's up, man?
Thanks, lads.
Thanks, man. There you go, the brilliant Vinnie Jones. To find out more about the campaign, you can search Talk More Than Football or check out 3's YouTube channel.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.